from Las Vegas, Nevada, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Welcome to Out of the Box with John and Tony. Now here's the host of the show, Tony Scott. Oh man, I told you we were going to change that intro up a bit. Talk about some rat. You talk about ramping it up. Man, today, welcome guys for another Monday. We're talking about UFO abduction. Oh man, this is going to be a good show. UFO abductions. I tell you what, you see a lot about it. A lot of Netflix I've watched, especially a lot of YouTube stuff about UFO abductions. Excuse that the airplane flying over. I'm flying back and forth to Nellis Air Force Base. I'm not too far from there. Man, UFOs. The abductions, especially, is a pretty big thing. Where John and I are going to talk about. And speaking of John, John's joining us live via Skype all the way from Indianapolis, Indiana. John, how are you doing?
Hey, Tony, doing great, doing great. Yeah, we're going to talk about alien abduction and little green men. Meet Gumby, everybody. Now, he's green, but I think he's harmless, and I don't think he's an alien. So say hi to Gumby, everybody, first of all. Yeah, it's going to be a good show, and yeah, I'm looking forward to doing it, Tony.
Oh, right on. So, yeah, you know what? The abduction stories. I can think of two abduction stories. And you know what? To be honest with you, anything related to UFOs is an extremely controversial subject. Just from seeing aliens in your room and, being abducted and floating through off your bed and through a window and all that stuff. But it's very controversial. That subject is especially, and I think one of the biggest, one of the first ever recorded abductions ever was Betty and Barney Hill in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, back in actually 1961. If you guys wanted some insight on those guys other than what we're talking about, go to MUFON. Go to MUFON.com, and in their website they have a research link, and then you can research. They have all kinds of stuff that they actually researched. But to talk about Betty and Barney, the first ever recorded one. They were actually coming back from Canada on a what I call it a road trip. They were coming back via Route 3 through Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and apparently Betty had seen a light in the sky, and she questioned the light. Of course, Betty was a big UFO advocate anyway. She didn't know what it was, but apparently it was following them. So they decided to pull over. And Barney actually got out. And he had a pair of binoculars with him. And went to go find out just exactly what it was. So from my knowledge, I think it could have been maybe 100, 200 feet off the ground. So he looks at the object. And of course, it has windows. And inside the windows were apparently alien beings. And get this, because if you do the research, if you just look up the story about them, alien beings in Nazi uniforms. Okay, we can almost stop tape right there. There's gonna be, even if there was aliens, I'm pretty sure they're not gonna have Nazi uniforms on. Where that ever came from is beyond me. But anyway, he runs back to the car saying, "We got to get out of here before we get captured." So they go down the road, apparently about 35 miles down the road. So I'm not even sure what 35 miles. 35 miles might have been their home. But, when they get home, they're missing apparently 2 hours of time. And they can't explain it, which I find, I don't know. I've never really ever been driving down the road and then get home. And then when you get home, you think, oh, where did I just come from? I don't know. I'm missing like 2 hours of time. Not sure if that is relative to a UFO abduction, but let's go to Indianapolis and see what John's got to say on just the first part of the Barney and Betty abduction. John, you still there with us?
Oh yeah, yeah. You know, I've read and seen YouTubes and whatnot. Watch little documentaries all the time. Well, not all the time, every once in a while, about the alien abductions and the Barney and Betty Hill story. Of course, it was back in the '60s or '50s, right? '60s, '50s, somewhere back in there. Anyway, it was a long time ago. And you know, when I first heard the story, I thought, well, this is interesting, man. Did they really get, you know, sucked up by aliens, you know, and going down the road and see a craft and, you know, freeze them and everything they claim that happened to them. And then I fast forward to like now, and you hear about, well, maybe they had little financial problems. There's some personal things going on in their life, and the story just didn't quite add up. You know, I think Tony's kind of alluding to that, rather. Just didn't seem like there were some things missing, but I mean, I can't sit here and say, well, that didn't really happen to them, but the things look kind of sketchy with that whole story. You know, they were an interracial couple to begin with, and back then, you know, they frowned upon that. It's accepted now; it's not a big deal. But back then, it was the talk of the town, so to speak. You know, and who knows if they maybe made that story up to kind of take the attention away from that part of the relationship and drive it towards like an alien abduction. I don't really know. But all I know is that the story just doesn't seem, to me personally, doesn't seem like it had it up so much. Seemed like there was a lot of things missing. And like you were talking about, you know, the guys, you know, they claim to see a Nazi uniform. And you know, it's just too weird, you know. That's just my take on it, Tony. Turn it back over to you. I just think it's just kind of, the whole thing is kind of strange.
Yeah, you know, it is. You know, and Betty claimed that she had dreams about it. And I think one of the funny things that I find, you know, maybe not so much, well, the dreams are part of it. So whatever she was dreaming about, she thought that those dreams were of possibly that missing time that her and her husband had. But the funny thing is she didn't tell anybody until 2 years after. So it took her 2 years before she ever apparently told anybody about it. And I know she told NICAP, and then that's when, you know, when they said they can't remember anything, they immediately go, okay, let's hypnotize them and find out what's going on. So in the hypnosis, or however you want to say that they went through was called hypnotic regression. So when you go through hypnotic regression, it's going back in time. It's like to the former. So anything from the 2 year period it ended to the going on into the third year, if you get hypnotized then and you go back, she apparently was remembering all these things which were dreams and not really relative to the UFO incident, because how does she know she was ever abducted if she can't remember anything? And all she's now doing is remembering dreams. So in the span of 2 years, was she dreaming that she got abducted? And then in the hypnotic regression, she's just remembering that? I don't know, but she tells some really funny stuff that when they were in the aircraft, apparently the communication between the alien being and her husband was a different form of communication than it was with the alien being and her. They actually talked to her and they telepathically communicated to him. Okay, so how would she know that in the first place? If this alien being is talking or not? Now, obviously, she heard it talking to her, but not to Barney. Did they audibly talk? I don't know. Do you see these mouths moving? I don't even know what they look like. I mean, we go back and look at the history of the aliens, the grays and all that stuff, and the oval shaped, the head, the big, the eyes and all that stuff. And I don't know, did it really look like that? Who knows? And some of the other things that just strike me fancy is she asked them where they came from. And apparently they came from what was the Zeta Reticuli system. Okay, that's kind of funny. Where's that at? We'll have to look it up. But she actually said, well, show me on a map. So apparently they showed her, maybe it was on the wall of the UFO in a 3D type atmosphere on the wall, right? So she draws this in real life through hypnosis. So how accurate can that be? Could someone just take a pencil, right, and a paper, close your eyes and just put some dots? Okay, and stop. And and then try to match that up with any star system. Just take the piece of paper and hold it up to on the internet, somewhere on the internet, look up star systems and see if it's familiar. You probably could do that. I don't know, but I know that the map that she drew didn't exist in their time in 61, 63. The star maps they were always continually updated. And then once it got updated, they went back in and finally found that Zeta Reticuli map. Perfectly drawn. They say it was perfectly drawn. I don't know if it was perfectly drawn or not. But that's kind of funny. I mean, then you always see every UFO abduction is always horrific. Some sort of way it's horrific. Why is it everybody's saying it's horrific? There's always needles in the navel, which that's horrific just thinking about it. But it's always horrific. So I don't know. It doesn't make sense. The abductions story that they had. What is kind of strikes my fancy kind of funny is the dress that she was wearing was torn. It was soiled and torn at the hem. And Barney's boots that he was wearing, on the top of his boots, were scuffed. Now, the more I read through their story is that apparently that UFO had led them down a different road, like a sidetrack road, right? So apparently when he gets back out, he's actually levitated off the ground and with his feet dragging against the rocks. That's how apparently his boots got scuffed. I don't know. It kind of seems believable. I don't know. I mean, everybody out there, go research MUFON, Barney and Betty Hill abduction 1961, and read through it. Check it out. Give us a comment on our page here at YouTube, and I don't know. I'm not sure I believe it. I believe what John says. John says, that the interracial marriage was not so common back then. Maybe they needed to ease that tension, and so they made the whole thing up to be accepted as an interracial married couple. Not real sure. So, based on that, I don't know. John, you have anything else on the Betty and Barney before we move on to the next one?
Yeah. The only thing I'd like to comment on, you were talking about she drove out the star system. That's kind of interesting because it's like you said, where would she have gotten at? So that puts a question mark right there. You know what I mean? She can't just make up that star system, especially if it wasn't really mapped out back then. I mean, it's just kind of a question. I mean, she came up with that somehow. I'll just leave that up in the air. Like you said, please comment on the bottom whether you guys believe in alien abduction or not. We'd like to know. If you do, tell us why. If you don't, tell us why. But the Betty and Barney Hill case, you know what? They all sound convincing. All of them sound convincing. Theirs sound convincing. We're getting ready to talk about Travis Walton. His sounds very convincing. And there's a lot of them out there. We can't mention them all in the show. There's so many of them. You can go and literally hundreds of people per year claim they're abducted by aliens or have a close encounter of the third kind is what they call that. The first kind, right? There's a third kind, the highest one, I guess, or the fourth kind. Because the fourth kind is abduction, I believe. But yeah, that's really all I have on them as far as, because I just feel like there's too many missing. There's not enough evidence to prove, or to prove it, in my opinion, on the Betty Barney Hill case. And like I said, it's just my opinion. Now, Travis Walton, like I said, did a good in a minute, but yeah, that's really about all I got on that. I mean, except for the question mark with the star system, when she was hypnotized or regressed, rather, and that whole thing there. That does pop a question mark in my mind, where she got that from. But other than that, just there wasn't any radiation burns or anything of that nature. There wasn't any that I know of, and I don't think they found any implants on any of the bodies. And we'll get to that later too. But yeah, that's all I got on them, Tony. So I'll let you take it back.
Yeah, they actually, they made a book. It was a best-selling book in 1966 called The Interrupted Journey, and that actual abduction, the Hill abduction, made it into a movie called The UFO Incident with James Earl Jones. So I've never seen the book or the movie, but I'm gonna Google the UFO incident just so I can watch it, just to check it out, to see how Hollywood portrayed that incident. So, well, also in the show notes, I don't have it right now. Betty had a niece, and her niece is on YouTube and goes through the whole thing about the Betty and Barney abduction and them being from an interracial marriage. And come to find out, I'm not sure if it had to do with what John was saying, the radiation still, but there was some circular objects or circular markings on the trunk of their car. And actually, I'm on their website, MUFON's website right now, just to find out if there is anything on that. Oh, but it does say here that 10 days after the UFO encounter, Betty began to have some serious vivid dreams. So maybe that was maybe her dreams are just I don't know. It's tough, but like I said, that's interesting. And I'm gonna call it quits with Betty and Barney. God rest her soul. But I'm not saying, who knows if it ever happened. Did she actually see a white object come out of the air? Could have. I mean, there's a Peace Air Force Base, which isn't actually an Air Force base now. It's I think it's a National Guard armory or something like that now. They did find a sighting that was basically relative to what Betty would have saw, because it was reported to the Peace Air Force commander. So I don't know. They could have got abducted. Who knows? I mean, I've never been abducted. Have you? If you have, call us. We want you on the show. Hey, let's move it. We're moving it to Travis Walton, and his is a more, and I think John will agree as well. Speaking of, we're going to talk about Travis Walton, his abduction in 1975. I think Travis was 22 at the time when they witnessed an object. And as a matter of fact, it's enough of me rambling on here. I'm going to get a little bit of show notes, not the notes here, but the website thing here I'm on, the Travis Walton from MUFON. This thing is long. I just keep scroll forever. It's a long article. I will put this and the other one in the description of our video. Guys, go check this out, because it's amazing stuff about Travis Walton in the movie Fire in the Sky that they made. I will just say one thing real quick before I turn this over to John to start the Travis Walton. Just about 2 weeks prior to Travis's event, there was the television show. Guess what show was on? You guessed it, the UFO incident. Maybe they made it all up. I don't know. John, what do you think?
Well, it's interesting. I did see the movie. We're trying to talk about obviously Travis Walton. I did see the movie Fire in the Sky. That's what he's famous for. And if no one knows about the story, you can always watch it on YouTube now. I think it's on there. But the Travis Walton, like Tony said, November 5th, 1975, he was on a logging crew in the White Mountains of Arizona. It's a national state forest or state preserve, rather. And they were doing logging back then. And I won't tell you the whole story, but they're done with the job and they're driving back to where they're staying. And they see a light in the sky, and they're curious. They drive closer and closer to it. Travis gets out of it. They stop the truck. Travis gets out. He walks up to this light craft. Supposedly the craft zaps him with a beam and knocks him out. They think he's dead. The rest of the crew drives off, thinking he's dead. They come back to get him, and he's gone. So, and then the story leads to where he gets abducted by the aliens from the ship. It's a UFO, and he gets taken away for what, 5 days, right? I think it's 5 days. And they make a movie about it, Fire in the Sky. And I seen the movie back in the 90s when it was released. A pretty good movie. You know, I'm kind of a UFO buff and stuff like that. I'm interested in it. I watch shows all the time, so I went to check it out. And I thought it was, the movie was pretty good. Then I hear interviews with him later on down the years. And Tony brought up some good points to where, basically the bottom line was made up. Did they make the whole story up for Hollywood and for money and all that? Supposedly they passed, lie detector test. They were adamant about taking it. Matter of fact, this guy named Sly Gleason did a lot of the polygraph test. And he swears up and down that they told the truth. The whole crew did. All of them did it. And then you look at another guy called Philip Klass, or Klaus, however you pronounce it. Anyway, he claims they made it up. He says there's not enough evidence there to substantiate an alien craft coming down and taking him. But the story itself was really interesting. And if you listen to Travis and everything, I mean, he sounds real convincing that, that it really did happen. Swears by it, passed polygraph test. It's one of these things where, again, I think it might be a little bit more, maybe leaning towards that could have really happened more so than Betty and Barney. I don't know for sure. Obviously, it wasn't there. But the thing was that he was gone for 5 days, so he either hid somewhere or he went someplace. We do know that. And he came back, told this real, wild story about what the aliens did to him and whatnot. But I guess the point I was trying to make with this whole thing is Tony had mentioned prior to the show, and he'll go to it a little bit more, where there's, like he said, there was a movie that was made right before their story happened. And if you listen to Travis Walton talk, he stays the script pretty much, but it could be rehearsed out because he's been saying it forever. He could be, like I said, telling the truth. But my point is, there was money to be made, and I think they possibly could have taken an opportunity. What's your opinion on that, Tony? Let's elaborate a little bit more.
Oh yeah, they were behind on that logging contract, and that's why they worked extra long hours just to get it caught up. So I'm thinking, I don't know, if you fake a UFO abduction, or even if the guys are going, hey, we got to get out of this contract. We're never going to get done. We're going to get sued. I don't know what would have happened to them. Who knows? Could they say, yeah, let's just fake something and then we could probably get out of it. Maybe they did. With having Travis end up, being gone for 5 days. I mean, who knows? I know that Sheriff Gillespie, after the polygraph tests were taken, other than Dallas's one, because his was inconclusive. Actually, the sheriff said they're telling the boys, because they were all young at the time. The boys are telling the truth. They believe that story. Everybody else said it was just nothing but, it was a hoax. It was all made up. A couple of weeks prior, they aired the UFO incident, and they probably saw it and they say, oh man, we can use this. Let's check this out. Maybe we can make a movie like this. Well, let's, after we're done with the logging event, let's just fake it. Let's just do something. And somebody said on if you read through the MUFON, that they faked that with a balloon and just lit a balloon at the appropriate time. However you're going to do that, I find it hard to believe that everybody's in a truck going back home from the forest. So who lights the balloon? What do you do? Get on the cell phone? They didn't have cell phones back then. Would you get on the phone and call somebody? Release the balloon. I mean, light it and let it go. I don't know. I don't know if it was faked or not, but I can say that, without any uncertainty, that after the National Enquirer got a hold of that story or heard what they were saying, they were paid, I believe, $5,000 for the most unbelievable, outrageous story. So they get $5,000 in their pocket. They're going, you know what? Maybe we can make some more money. Let's make it into a movie, And then they did. They made it into a movie, and the movie got all bent out of shape. Because if you go watch Fire in the Sky, most of what happened on the UFO, Travis being on the UFO, was greatly taken out of proportion, according to Travis. And Paramount, when Paramount found out about the incident in the law of making the movie, the Paramount told Tracy Torme, said, well, this is just the same as everything else. All the other UFO incidents and all that, they're all the same. Change it up, ramp it up a bit, make it lavish, make it real lavish, and then we'll take it and make it into a movie. So that's what Tracy Torme did, which is Mel Torme's son, by the way. And that's how it got made into the movie. And then when Travis apparently saw it, I'm sure he saw the first initial release, the pre-release before it went public. And he probably sat there in his seats going, man, that ain't right. That's not right. That didn't happen. And I know from interviews that he's had, he was been trying to get Paramount to do another movie based on the actual events. I'm pretty sure that you should have did that in the first place. But Paramount wouldn't take it unless it's all hyped up. Everything's got to be hyped up for Hollywood. It's got to be unbelievable because that's what, it's money. It's money, and it's ticket sales. It's money if it's all hyped up. So, but as far, that for the lifetime of, for all the time I've been studying UFOs and abductions and sightings and all that stuff, and his would have been the perfect case to believe. And they even said in some of the comments, said, well, if these guys they're some good actors. If they're making this stuff up, they're certainly making it very, very believable. So I don't know. I was giving it years ago. I was giving that one a thumbs up because I said that movie's killer. Then I found out that it wasn't. Travis wanted to redo it. I'm going high five. Well, what actually really happened? And come to find out that when he was actually taken up into the spaceship, apparently when he was bolted with a beam of light, right? Okay, number one, would it hurt you? Okay, I'm not sure. Number two, would it kill you? Don't know. Number three, if he was abducted, there's a good possibility that the aliens knew they hurted Travis, so they beamed him up onto the ship to heal him, fix him, right? So in the transition of him being on the table, he freaks out, right? Jumps up, grabs something off the shelf to defend himself. Okay. Again, number one, if you're hurt, you're not jumping up and defending yourself. Or obviously you weren't hurt. Or number two, you made the whole thing up. Not real sure. So that's something just to sink your teeth into or just think about. I'm not sure what that is. But that part was not in the movie at all. What was in the movie is him being suffocated with some kind of, I don't know what it was, some kind of something, rubber thing that looked like it stretched over his face, and then they poked a hole in it so he could at least breathe, and he was kind of screaming. And you watch the movie, it's like horrendous. It's like, my God, what is this all about? That's
like you said, Hollywood,
Yeah, it's Hollywood beefed up, and they made it all pretty believable, I mean, not believable, but it's just blown out of proportion. Like, it's crazy. But like I said, it's nothing but ticket sales. So I don't know. I mean, I like to, like I said, I was into Travis Walton. I wanted Travis Walton to be here on the show, but trying to get a hold of him is going to be kind of a thing to do. I mean, maybe someday we'll get a hold of Travis and actually have him out here and say, hey, sit down, let's go over this thing, because it doesn't make sense. I don't know. Oh, 2008. There's a show called, let's see if I can find it. Something About the Truth. Actually, whatever the name of this show is, Something About the Truth. I wish I could get the name of this article. It's so long. I had it on the tip of my tongue earlier. Anyway, he gets on this show based on polygraph. It's based on a polygraph test, and the grand prize winner gets $500,000 if he passes all the polygraphs. 2008. You had to look it up. You had to look up that show. And the I don't know how many places. I don't know how many prizes there were, but the top prize was $500,000. The lowest you could win is 50 G's. So maybe he saw that and go, hey, there's some more money. He got on that show, and they asked him, did you actually honestly get abducted by a UFO? He says yes. Their polygraph says you just lied. There you go. I don't know.
That's interesting, yeah.
Yeah, I know. It is interesting. I mean, check this. I won't repeat these words, but they had Walton, Mike Rogers. Actually, Mike Rogers was he was the head of the crew, and he's the one that was behind on. He was known for being behind on contracts. Walton and Rogers made promotional appearances to support that film that they made. They actually debated Class on the Larry King Live show. And at one point, Class lost his temperature and called Rogers a GD liar. Clark, he doesn't offer any background context to their story. And actually, in the Setgreaves forest, there in Arizona, there's no markings of an aircraft, UFO. I mean, if a UFO is going to land, this is my take on it. If you take an aircraft carrier, something that weighs a lot, and you put it in the dirt, it's pretty much going to sink. I guarantee you, if there was extraterrestrial beings out there with any highly intelligent minds, they're going to make something so light that it's going to you're never going to see an imprint in the ground anyway. Period. You probably wouldn't see it in the sand. I'm just saying. So that's another one. What else? What else happened on that goofy ship? I wish we could do this real quick, but I don't want to bother my video production assistant over there, because we could actually go to google.com and show you the phone booth, because actually he was taken out of when he grabbed that weapon, whatever he grabbed, whether it's a weapon or not, I don't know what he grabbed. Why didn't you just stick it in your pocket and take it with you? Well, maybe he never grabbed anything. Maybe it never happened. The alien beings flee for their lives, because Travis is he's all pumped up. He's hurt, but he's pumped up, right? I guess you could be pumped up. You could, right? I guess, people are strung out on drugs and do some amazing stuff. Aliens leave the room. Travis gets out there, goes down the hallway, goes into another room, and sees a chair backwards, facing the other way, facing the wall. He walks up to it, sees it, presses some buttons, stars come up on the wall. That's pretty cool. He obviously probably thinks it's the way out. There's some other buttons and some other stuff happens to it. I don't know. Not that it's believable. I don't know. I guess it could happen. Something catches his attention while he's in the room. Somebody else is behind him. He turns around, and it's a humanoid, not alien, humanoid person. I don't know if it's human like we're human, or just something other than an alien being with big bug eyes, with the glass mask on. He's asking it questions. All it does, it doesn't talk. All it does, he says it just grinned. It grinned at him. So it leads them out of a room down a steep. He says steep. How steep? I don't know. Steep incline into what would look like a huge warehouse. So just picture like 4 or 5 Home Depots put together, gutted, right? Then an alien ship, he's in it. He comes out into this warehouse type deal, into another spaceship with another, I don't know how many beings, John might know, but there's another people in glass mask, right? So they set him down. I think he's actually, again, he's on a stretcher table type deal, and they get ready to put something over his face, you know, and before he can fend himself to stop him from doing it, he blacks out. And the next thing, he wakes up on the road, looking straight up in the air at the flying saucer, leaving. Then he gets up, goes over to the phone booth, and makes a phone call. And there you have it. Travis Walton. One of the most believable ones. I gotta hand it to Travis. Travis, if that's a lie, you are top-notch best liar in the world. Me, man, I'll tell you, Travis, that is wild. That is wild. Interesting. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Hey, John, anything else on Travis?
Well, you know, I could share like a little story. You know, his thing happened November 5th, 1975, and he talks about when he saw that craft, he heard a high-pitched whining noise. He says he can't hardly explain it. So really weird high-pitched whining noise. And back in 1975, I had a dream, or whatever you want to call it, just sharing a personal experience real quick, of hearing a whiny, high-pitched whiny type noise in my sleep. And it woke me up. You know, 1975, I'm just basically like a kid. And anyway, I wake up and I go to bug my mom and dad and tell me to go back to bed. This happened several times. And finally went back to sleep. But the weird thing about it was around 1975, the same time this happened. And then the next day, they had, my parents actually apologized to me because the next day, they had sightings of UFOs in the area where we lived at the time. Uncanny. Kind of like a Twilight Zone event that happened, you know. But I just found out today, it was like, that happened to me in 1975, and this happened to him in 1975. So whether it was a UFO's a hotbed in 1975, I don't know. It's weird. It's just coincidence. Maybe, maybe not. I don't really believe in coincidences too much. But that's just kind of a personal story that kind of had the same thing that Travis had. Now, I didn't get sucked up in the ship, thank God. I don't ever want that. I don't want no aliens come down taking me. I know Tony said he'd go for a ride. When we talked about Area 51, and he says, yeah, they come down, they pick me up, man, I'm going. But I'm not going to go. I'm going to say, no, leave me here. But yeah, it could have been for money, you know, yeah, possibly. You know, anything's possible. Could have been for money. Did it really happen? Possibly. I know they named the movie Fire in the Sky. It wasn't because of the UFO they saw. It was because lightning would hit the trees out there and catch them on fire. And they say, oh, there's another fire in the sky. Matter of fact, that happened a lot out there. There's a lot of lightning storms out there at that time. And I guess they helped put out a fire several days before they saw the UFO, you know, supposed UFO. So I don't know. You know, Tony said one time, I think he did in one of our earlier shows, that he could have possibly got hit by a lightning and dreamt the whole thing. I don't know. There's so many possibilities, but do I personally think it's true? Man, you know, I did until I talked to Tony, because Tony, he kind of opened my eyes on some things, or made me think anyway about, you know, man, you know, a lot of these things are scripted, John, and staged and stuff for money. You know, they're making these things up. I mean, not just the UFO abductions, but just a lot of things that you see, the ghost hunters and all that is all made up for money for Hollywood to sell books and stuff. So I got to thinking about that. I said, well, it's possible that, they did the same thing. But the only thing that really kind of sets me back a little bit and makes me think harder on the Travis Walton thing is the fact that they did pass all the polygraphs except for maybe, like you said, maybe one. I know that you can people train themselves to pass a polygraph test. I mean, comment below if you think you can pass a polygraph test. Let us know, yes or no. What's your opinion on it? I think it'd be hard to pass one. I think it's possible to pass one, to fake one, but I think it'd be hard. So the polygraph test thing kind of has me wondering if that really did happen or not. And I know that out there in that area in Arizona, there's a lot of weird things that go on. I mean, the Phoenix lights and stuff that happened back in '97 and stuff like that can't explain. So whether he faked it or not, like you said, Tony, if he did, boy, what a good storyteller is. How convincing he is to tell the story, because I've seen several interviews with him and stuff on YouTube. He sounds real convincing. So, but you know what? I think before I give it back to you, I don't think there was ever any implants. I mean, a lot of people that talk about alien abductions, they usually have an implant, something in their body. And also, what makes me think of this as well, people that have alien abductions usually don't talk about it, have real ones. They usually don't want to say anything. They don't want to tell anybody what really happened. They want to keep that to themselves because they're afraid of scrutiny and everything. Travis Walton was real quick to say, yeah, and all of them, man, yeah, you got to take it to the ship, Either they're really excited about it or, I don't know, it's just things to think about, I mean, like I said, a lot of people that have what I call true alien abduction or possible alien abduction, they don't really talk about it. And then they'll have things implanted in the body, just have something implanted in their body, and they go to the doctor and get a test and they find it. I think Tony has a story about a motorcyclist that had an implant. I'll let you share that, Tony.
Oh, yeah. If you guys want to get on Netflix, watch Patient 17. That's a guy who's had something in his leg that when he was riding down a dirt road, he was an avid bike rider, and it was a dirt bike, like a 125 or so. And it caused him so much pain, and his leg was causing him so much pain, he had to lay the bike down, get on the ground until, it just brought him to the ground until the pain subsided. So they did the documentary is based on another patient who was doing the documentary. That the documentary being done on Patient 17, I think previously was Patient 15. I think, I'm not real sure. And he didn't know that he was actually another guy who had something implanted and taken out. Anyway, Dr. Roger Lear was one of the most famous doctors who was taking all these implants out of people who claimed these were implants and was never there before. He was part of the documentary. So they get all the way to the point where they actually take the object out of the man's leg, real small, have it analyzed. Of course, it takes weeks and weeks to get something like that analyzed. It came back. They were all sitting on the couch and opened the envelope, and the guy's sitting there reading it, and that's not from Earth. Yeah, it's not from Earth. Well, they don't know what it is. So who knows? I don't know, because I don't know what they test for. I'm not into those kinds of tests. I'm sure it's an alloy test. It's a metal test. Certain types of substances that are put together to make something else that are common on this planet. Could have been some of those tests. The guy said that the guy who was filming the documentary says, well, if you were out riding, could there have been a possible chance that you could have ran over something and have that fling off your tire and stick in your leg? I don't know. I guess. Not real sure. So, who knows? I don't know. They had to run more tests, and of course, tests like that, you send that stuff out to a testing facility, they're going to charge you an arm and a leg to get it tested. Period. Thousands of dollars to get it tested. I ain't talking $250. Going down to the bubblegum store and buying a lollipop for a nickel. This thing's going to cost you thousands of dollars to get it tested, depending on how many tests you got to run, and you better have a serious bankroll for it. But the guy who was in the extracting procedure, Dr. Roger Lear. Towards the end of the movie, they had some sad news to report that Dr. Roger Lear passed away of a heart attack. And I sat there when I was watching the movie. I went, "Oh, really? Somebody offed him," because he was wanting so much in his life to blow the whistle on the UFOs, the abduction stories, the UFO story, the implants, and to bring it into the limelight of reality and not it's all fake. But he dies of a heart attack. Go figure.
Yeah. Well, you know, Tony, there's been quite a few UFO researchers that have hit some sensitive areas, so to speak, that suddenly disappear. Pretty interesting. I mean disappearing, they die. Mysteriously died. Now, that could be another show, you know, conspiracy. You know, but the thing is, they did disappear. There's this guy over in England. He was getting a lot of evidence together to prove that aliens exist and all this stuff, and he's gone, disappeared, died. I mean, there's several of them. I don't know the names right now, but you can watch this channel called Secure Team, and you can find it on his channel. This guy named Tyler that runs it. He's pretty good, but you guys get to see that. It's all over the web. But it is kind of a mystery how these people, when they start like Dr. Lear, you know, mysteriously die of heart attacks or poisoning. This one guy, I guess, I remember now, he was poisoned. He actually got poisoned. A young guy, too, like in his 30s. Yeah, pretty incredible. But, yeah, you know, getting back to the alien abduction thing, you know, lots of people claim it happens. A lot of people, you know, come out real quick and say, yeah, I got abducted by an alien. They're kind of excited about it, you know. I don't know if those are so much true. My own personal belief is, like I said earlier, I think that the people that actually have stuff happen to them don't really want to talk about it. Maybe it gets spilled out by family or friends or something. Or they got something in their body that they can't figure it out. Something's hurting, and they have like you said, a weird what they think is a dream. And they're like, man, I had a dream, and thing's hurting. And they go in the doctor to get an MRI and X-ray, and they actually find a foreign body or implant, and they take it out. They find something, they go, I don't know what this is. And how did this happen? Well, I don't remember. And all of a sudden, well, there it is. And like Tony said, they go get it analyzed and do tests on it, and it's nothing they've ever seen before. Those things are weird. I mean, you gotta believe that these things are strange. Can I explain it? Not entirely. I will say one thing here real quick though. I was down at my folks' house this past weekend, and they live out in the country. And it was a clear Saturday night, and I got the old telescope out and was looking, and there's thousands of stars, thousands of planets out there. And I got to thinking about it, just looking out there by myself. We would be kind of foolish to think that we're the only life form in the whole thing. I mean, just by looking at sheer numbers of the stars and other planets, I was thinking about that. I was thinking, you know, there's no way we could be the only halfway intelligent beings in this whole universe. And that's just my thoughts about it. Now, I've seen some UFOs, like we've watched some of our shows in the past. I've seen some UFOs before in my lifetime. I've never had a close encounter. I had that wired event I just described about back in 1975. My parents would go to the grave, vouching for that story, as well as myself. That really did happen. But yeah, it's just a thought. You know, you look at all those stars and planets. It's like, you know, I got to thinking to myself, it can't be the only ones. I don't know. What you think out there, Tony?
You know, theoretically, we could be the only thing in existence. Period. You know, it's tough. It's not hard to explain. It's just when you explain it, you got to explain the explain. But you know, it would seem like the world is either too big not to house or facilitate other beings, or the universe, and the world I mean by universe, so I'll just re-say that. The universe is too big not to facilitate other life, or the universe is not quite as big as you think it is. Take that one on for size. As far as, abductions, I've never been abducted. I had a dream that I was, and that's where that light thing comes from. But I got to back up. The moment of truth is what Travis was on. When he was asked if he was abducted by a UFO in 1975, he responded with a direct answer of yes. And that was deceiving. So, I don't know. The dream that I had, I was struck by lightning, believe it or not. And what John says is Fire in the Sky was actually titled because of that, lightning. Okay, well, could Travis get struck by lightning? Very possible, yes. We'd have to go back into the weather archives to the actual date of the incident in 2 or 3 days past and future and find out what the weather was like, to find out if there was lightning. And that's something John and I are probably definitely going to do, to find out if there was lightning in the area. Because if I'm sure lightning's been recorded back that far. And just to check it out. But the dream that I have, and it is titled not only vivid, it is a lucid. It's titled lucid, and we'll talk about dreams sometime on our show. But I was at the airport. I get hit by light. I see lightning, and the funny thing about the lightning is lightning usually strikes the ground, right, and then disappears. I got it. This struck the ground and stayed there, like it is just arcing on the ground. I'm going, this is not good. This is not going to be good if it keeps coming towards me and hits me. Well, guess what it did? It did. I blacked out. Travis blacks out. Gotcha. Just kind of comparing that two. So I black out, and I was actually at the airport. And then, if someone got a picture of this, I got to draw it out. I got to say this out. You get on a rug, right, and then have somebody pull the rug out from underneath you, right? You get the feeling, right? That's what it felt like. It felt like I was being pulled up, but I never let go of the rug. I was trying to brace myself so I wouldn't fall off this so-called rug, because the higher I got, I'm going, this is crazy. Because if I let go and I can't, what are you grabbing onto? Some carpet fibers? I'm doomed. So we get to the top of whatever we got to. I was inside, I guess it was an alien ship. I don't know what it was. But it was definitely circular hallway. And the funny thing about the hallway is lined on each side, I know it was one side, and this dream was quite a long time ago, was bamboo shoots all the way around. And you can hear people talking, thousands of them, sound like thousands of people talking. And I kept going, can anybody hear me? Can anybody hear me? And I don't know if I'm running, jogging, or what I was doing, but I know I was moving fast. So I get to a point where I see a couple other people. I'm not sure who they are. I'm not sure if it's a cafeteria. I can't make you out. Don't know. Do you know where I'm supposed to go? I need to know where I'm supposed to go and what I need to do next. Okay, they didn't say anything. So then I turn around, and then I see somebody that I work with. And the person was, it was a black person, but it's not black like you see black. It's like a chocolate, Milky Way, just real light. And I'm going, do you know where I got to go? And he goes, well, read over this and make sure all the information is correct and sign at the bottom. Okay. And I'm looking at this stuff. I'm going, what is this? What is that? That ain't my name. Hey, but my name is not Bo Brewster. And I'm thinking to myself, in the dream, I'm thinking of this. I can't sign Bo Brewster. I know how to sign my name. Okay, boom, whatever. Give it back to him. Okay, where do I go now? And I woke up. Wow. What a dream. What a vivid, lucid dream that was, because I thought that was real. I woke up and went, oh, shucks, man, I was on a UFO. I was getting ready to check out these aliens. Oh, man, I was mad. I was actually mad. So, yeah, John says, Tony ever sees a UFO? Yeah, I'm getting on. Open that bad boy up, man, and show me the steering wheel. Let's crank this baby up. Let's go down the strip. We're cruising down the strip in this UFO.
The strip of the universe.
I know, right? It's funny stuff. So, could Travis got struck by, could it have been a whole dream? I don't know. I don't know. I know I think his mom was acting kind of funny. You have to read through the article. I don't want to quote anything. And and say something that it's not right. But I think his mom had some kind of a missed disposition from herself when they were at the house where Travis lived. You know, Travis could have been hiding for 5 days in the basement. Don't tell anybody I'm here. You know, his mom could have been, I don't know if I can go through this whole thing. I'm not sure if I can pull it off. Who knows? But that's UFO abductions as far as I'm concerned. Hey, I'm not going to say that you can or can't get abducted. I'm pretty much thinking that you're not floating. You're not floating through the window like you see some people here. They're floating above the bed and they go through the window when they get upside this. I doubt that. I'll seriously doubt that. But being abducted, I don't know. Like I said, John's never been abducted, had an experience. I had this dream. I've never been abducted. I don't know. So I'll leave it up to you guys. Write some of your stories. Give us a thumbs up, like, subscribe. Check us out on Facebook. Write us on Facebook. You know, you got anything you want us to talk about, do it. We'll talk about it. We'll just delve into it. But anyway, John, what are we talking about next? We got anything interesting?
Yeah, I got the. Oh yeah. Well, I'm gonna sum up the alien abduction thing real quick.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, and then I'll say what we're gonna do next week. Yeah, really, you know, I keep an open mind with everything that we do, that we talk about. You know, some things are cut and dry. Alien abduction, I know a lot of people claim that they have. Some of them probably have. Some of them probably do it for money. You tell us what you think. Is it staged? Is it real, or is it Memorex, so to speak? Does it really happen to these people, or are they just making it up stories for money and publicity, like in sell books? But I think there's possibilities out there, rather, because of just the sheer number of stars and planets that are out there. I do believe that there's other life out there somewhere. Whether they're coming here and taking us and doing weird things, I'm not for sure. That's for you guys to decide and let us know. But next week, I think we're actually going to talk about technology. Is technology going to be the downfall of human beings as we know it? Are we going to get so far advanced that it's just going to take us out? Tony and I are going to talk about that next week on the Out of the Box with John and Tony. And let us know about the new intro. If you guys like the new intro, let Tony and I know. Comment below. But the alien abduction, like I said, interesting stuff. We may talk about it again later. But yeah, next week it's about technology. Computers going to get so advanced, are they going to take us over, or is it a good thing? That's all I got. Until next week.
All right, you heard it there. John's got an idea about technology. So, you know, guys, we're going to wrap it up here. We appreciate you checking in the show, and I got to get another monitor around here so my video engineer can concentrate on the video, and then I can maybe monitor the chat channel so people come in and start writing and asking questions. I can at least see it. Other than that, I'm just looking at the camera. So I got to get that set up. Technology, man, that is funny. Not funny, but it's interesting because I got an interesting take on technology that you guys are not even going to believe. So you're going to have to join us next Monday for technology. So for John Allen, I'm Tony Scott. We'll see you next Monday.